interesting start to this 4-year vacation.
The Odyssey.
Or is it just an adventure? Is
Some
it a
days-
vacation? I don't know.
Some days it's an Odyssey.
Anyway, we left Dinosaur Provincial Park and it was cold. We had a lot of wind.
A lot of wind.
It was cold, and that morning, a little bit of rain and sort of that sleety stuff.
It drizzled the day before all day.
And as we got out on the highway, ran into a fair bit of snow as we got down to Tabor. By the time we got to Warner, which is not too far from the border with the U.S., they had actually had about inch and a half of snow. I don't know, 2-3 centimeters, 4 centimeters. It was actually sitting on the ground.
I mean, it was a lot of snow for May.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a dump.
We were kind of hoping that at that place that we were going that we wouldn't be getting into any snow, but then we did, and we crossed into Montana, and lots of snow for the first little while.
Yeah.
And then it warmed up, and
up and up.
Then we
that
start
was
doing
the
the hills.
road.
Oh my gosh! And we ended up having a little bit of highway trouble.
Yes, the truck decided we had the front bra on, and it apparently was a little warm for it.
Well, here we are, side of the road. Our first little mechanical thing on this journey. I had the front grille cover on the front of the truck, and because the daytime highs in Montana have only been getting up to 8 degrees, I didn't think it was time to take it off yet, but apparently hauling the trailer up the mountain hills, or up the mountain passes in Montana, was enough that we got an engine overheating issue, and we lost a fair bit of coolant / antifreeze. So I'm now just waiting for the engine to cool down enough that I can add some water. Thankfully, we carry with us always 20 liters of water in the back of the truck, emergency water, and then we also have about 20 gallons actually in the rig that if push came to shove, we'll be able to get some of that out of there as well. So anyway, we knew there was eventually going to be something that went down, and I'm kind of glad that it happened in this area, because if there was going to be a problem, I've got a nice big area that I can pull out to the side of the road. A little freaky that we've got people whipping by here at 70 miles an hour. Is that right? 120K? I don't know. Fast, whatever it is, it's kind of freaky, but we had a nice big area that we could get out onto the side of the road. Area is beautiful here, but it's one of those things.
And you said the light came on, and I said, oh, the bra's still on. And the one place we could pull over in the entire thing, we pulled over, and we started hearing the antifreeze just pouring out. But you figure it was only
maybe a quart and a half, 2 quarts, because
Yeah.
that's all the water I put in, and it was fine.
Yeah, it was bubbling away.
So we finally made it to Great Falls. Interesting little place that we stayed in. We were way out in the sticks.
Sort of.
Way out in the sticks, like the far end of this place. But it was nice. I mean, it was quiet. There was a highway close by, and I didn't hear any trucks the whole night.
Yeah.
It was quite nice.
Yeah, I think what it was is that they built a couple of freeways around it, because it'd been there for at least 30 years.
Yeah.
It was a really
I
liked
liked
the
it.
concept.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a little tired, but apparently it has a new owner, and he's putting money into it.
Right.
And there are full-timers there. One person's been there 30 years. And yeah, it's interesting the variety of rigs and how they winterized, or and we met
Bill.
who has been there 5 years, and he's in a motorhome. Is it a Bell?
I don't know.
No. and he loves it.
So anyway, the next day, we got off to a fairly early start. Took our time. We didn't have a set place to stay. We figured if we found one, we would take it. Otherwise, we were just going to park in a truck stop. And that's my first experience. I think possibly your first experience of staying at a truck stop. That was in Dubois. A beautiful evening. The sunset was just spectacular. And it's getting late. It's just after 9 o'clock at night.
The sun was just barely set.
We had quite the day today. We got up this morning and it was lightly snowing in
Pelting.
Great Falls. And so we took our time getting ready to go. And as I was putting away the sewer stuff and you were in vacuuming, I suddenly noticed that Maury was gone. A little rat. Are you being a little rat?
He's a big rat?
He's just staring at us now like, what, did I do something? Anyway, he was off chasing bunnies. He was off chasing bunnies, and that's fine. I mean, it means to me that he's kind of back to normal, which is good.
He's relaxed.
And then we had something, we decided to go do some shopping. I had to get some new shoes. Dinosaur Provincial Park was murder on my shoes. And so we stopped off and got me some new hiking shoes. And then we went and picked up a new security device.
Yes.
This was interesting. I gotta tell you a story about Bill. So we're getting set up at the RV park, and Bill comes over, and I've just finished setting up the electric, and Bill wanders over and he introduces himself, and he's telling me, he says, "Oh, I see you've got one of those neat surge protectors," and he lifts up the little lid where you turn on the power, and he said, "You scared that anybody's gonna steal that?" And I said, "Well, not until now." And so this morning we went shopping and we found this new cable. Well, it's not new cables, it's new to us, a cable system that helps us to secure the electrical cable plus the surge protector to the pedestal. So we'll be using that from this point forward. Yeah. But here we are, and we'll see what happens. A little sleep, and then it depends. If we're freezing to death, I might just get up and start driving again. We'll see. It's chilly here tonight.
We have a little propane for the furnace.
We do have. Maybe that's what we do, is just run the furnace for a bit. Yeah, it was very cold in the rig. We should have actually turned the furnace on. We thought about it, and then we never did.
We didn't know if we had enough propane. I think next time we plan on these stops, we have to make sure we have enough, at least one full bottle.
Yeah, next morning it was a gorgeous morning. It was absolutely beautiful. And this is where we really got to see a lot of Idaho. I didn't realize, because I've only been through Idaho on kind of the main highway going down
I-15.
Yeah, and so we took the side roads. Probably not the best decision, because it was a lot of twisty-turny up and downs, but the scenery was absolutely amazing. I had no idea that Idaho was that beautiful of a state. And we saw lots of stuff, including the moon rocks. No, that's not what
Craters
it's called.
of the Moon.
Craters of the Moon. It's a really interesting place.
We also went to Arco, which is the first place in at least the United States to be lit by atomic power.
Right.
That's their claim to fame.
That's their thing. So we finally arrived at the Boise Riverside RV Park. Talk about being crammed in like sardines. Now, I'm still getting used to backing in to spots, and that one was very interesting because it was an S-turn that I had to make with the rig without hitting the RV that was across from us, but we were really packed in there.
And they had trees, so we weren't allowed to park on the concrete pad.
Right.
And in order to be even-ish, we moved quite a ways back from the pad, so that would have been a perfect place to park.
Yeah, but it was nice. We were right on the river walk. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Boise is a hidden gem.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, I had no idea. That was my first time to Boise, and just an absolutely gorgeous city. And the reason that we were there, introducing my friend Lisa, and this is interesting because this was the first time I've actually met Lisa in person. We have been uh, working online on her book, Confident Cheesemaking, off and on for about 3 years. And it,
Both of them had a surreal
yeah, it was,
encounter. She says, "This is so weird."
yeah, when you talk to somebody every week for over 3 years online, and then you finally get a chance. She was taller in person.
Then she pointed out that she'd always been sitting.
She'd always been sitting. She's always sitting at a computer screen. So I guess that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, we decided to come down for her book launch. Now the book was actually published and released in January, but this weekend was her official book launch, and we decided we just couldn't miss that. So we came down.
It was so worth it.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time. And then we spent 2 days with her and Vince, her husband, and toured around Boise and got to go over to their place for a meal, and then they came out here to the rig, and we actually made dinner, and this is where we discovered, interestingly enough, we had enough plates and enough bowls and enough forks that we could actually do a dinner service for four, but for some reason we only brought 2 steak knives, so it was 1 steak knife per couple.
Yes, and our dinner plates, I didn't realize it when I bought them, but they came as a set, that they were huge. And so they're almost sitting, touching each other. You could barely have room for.
Yeah, our table's pretty
considering
small.
that it's a U-shaped thing, we only had room for 4 people.
Yeah, and you had a chance to talk to her.
Yes.
Little interview.
She is an absolute delight. She loves talking cheese.
As we'll find out right now.
I'm here with Lisa Peterson. She just wrote just published a book called Confident Cheesemaking, and we're here for a little chat.
Thanks for having me, Libby.
So, Lisa, of all the hobbies in all the world, how did you come across cheese making?
That's a good question. I think I've always grown up eating cheese every day. I grew up in a Dutch family, and I think the Dutch are known for eating a lot of cheese. So cheese has always been a big part of my life. And of course, I've always loved Gouda, or Gouda, as we say in our home. And I found myself retired and wondering what sort of hobby I would like to try. And I thought that cheese making would be a good place to start because, first of all, I love it, so I know that we would enjoy it. And I knew that it would be a worthwhile hobby to pursue.
I never really thought about making it in the home. Had you known about making it in the home?
I didn't at all. In fact, I didn't know that it could be done. There was a day where I was performing a tedious task, just doing some ironing, and I thought, well, while I'm standing here, I might as well learn to do something. And I had just had a Gouda sandwich for lunch, and I thought, well, I wonder how to make cheese. So I went on to YouTube, because that's where you learn to do everything these days, and I decided to find a video that made cheese, and I found someone who was making cheese, and by the end of several videos, I think I watched 5 or 6 back to back, my ironing pile was gone. My husband came home, and I said to him, I declared, I'm going to learn to make cheese. And that very next day, I bought a pot so I could do that, and I've never looked back.
So did you just learn from YouTube, or did you find a community?
I quickly realized that I needed to find a community because each time I tried to do something, I had more questions. So I started purchasing books, and I found a community online. It's called Learn to Make Cheese. There's fabulous admins in there. And I just began to listen to what the other people were saying about the questions that were being brought up to the forum. I also found other YouTube videos to watch. So combined with that, I began my journey. But then I quickly realized that I wanted more. I wanted to understand really the science behind cheese making. So I made the decision to put myself through the University of Guelph's dairy program and earned my professional cheesemaking certificate through them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a long...
It was a big deal. It was almost 3 years because part of it was through COVID, and some of those courses had to be in person, so we had to wait for those to open back up.
So you really enjoy eating cheese, now you're making it. What part of making it and that is a thrill?
Oh. Some people would call me kind of crazy to think that there's any sort of thrill in cheese making, because I think some people would look at the process and say it's rather tedious and boring. But for me, a couple of parts of the process come to mind. And the first is getting a really strong curd set. There's nothing like cutting the curds in that checkerboard pattern and realizing you've got a good strong set, because you know you're on your way to making a great cheese. And then I think the second part is when, after it's completely pressed and it looks like a wheel of cheese, each time I pull it out of the mold when it's completely ready to go, I pull it out and I say, I can't believe I just made this cheese. And I think I do that every time.
And that's a thrill.
It really is.
As they say on the A-team, when a plan comes together.
Yes, when the curds come together, it's a thrill.
You've made a lot of different cheeses over the years, a lot from around the world. Have you made your own?
I have. That's a great question. I think the favorite recipe I have that I put together, I call it my Tuscan wine-soaked cheese. First of all, I like to put it in a pretty pattern, so it always has a nice basket weave look to it, so it shows beautifully. And I make a point to spend 5 days soaking it in wine so that the exterior comes out really the color of your shirt. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful purple hue. And that cheese, I have to tell you, visually, it's a showstopper because of those two outward treatments that I do. Mm-hmm. But the cheese itself, I would say it's a cross between a cheddar and a Parmesan. And it is just delightful.
That's quite a cross.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little earthy, has some tang to it, and it melts. So it does all the things you want in a delicious cheese.
So like an old cheddar or a sharp cheddar.
Yeah, that's right.
With the Parmesan, which is aged.
Yes, that's true. They're both aged. And in fact, you can age this particular cheese less time and it will melt more. Or if you prefer to age it a longer time, it'll continue to dry and will have that more crumbly old age texture.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm proud of that one.
Is it in your book?
It's in 2 places. Yes, it's online for free. All of my videos are free on YouTube. And I felt that was important because I wanted people to have access to the knowledge of cheese making in a free way and in a very demonstrable way, so that someone could watch from start to finish, from the moment that milk hits the pot all the way to the time I taste the cheese and show the texture and what it should look like. I felt that should be one full process in the video. Mm-hmm. And so along with that, so sometimes it'll take months to get a video out because I'm waiting for that cheese to mature. So if it's a 6-month maturation, I'm waiting 6 months to actually taste the cheese and include that at the end of the full process. So I want to make sure that that full process is available to everyone every day, always for free, and you can do that in the videos. I also have printed versions of those recipes, and they are available in the book.
How many years have you been making cheese?
7 at this spring.
So 1 or 2 a week?
Typically I make cheese, depends on the season, because sometimes I have a little more time than others. Every week, sometimes twice a week.
What happened to it? Is it still in your cheese case?
We eat it. I enjoy it. It's true. I told you, I eat cheese every day, and at least 1 ounce, probably more. But typically for my family, the things I make on a very regular basis are, of course, butter and yogurt, and I just whip those up pretty quickly. And then I do boursin, which is a garlic herb cream cheese spread that goes fast. My husband loves cottage cheese, so I make that regularly for him. And then I make feta, also very regularly. Those are my 5 standards that I just crank now on automatically and create those products for my family. Part of the reason I do that is all of those products I just mentioned, I can save money by doing that. And so it appeals to the frugal side of me to be able to make those cheeses and save money in my grocery bill, especially these days. The other cheeses, the aged cheeses, take more time, and I'll make probably 2 or 3 of those a month, maybe more, depending on if I'm visiting family. I can put 3 wheels of cheese in front of my brothers and sisters and their children and watch those 9 or 10 pounds evaporate in the space of an hour.
Wow.
Well, we're all Dutch.
Go through cheese like a weed whacker.
You know it. It's the truth.
Well, that's really cool that, you have an outlet to, you have all this product, you have someone to give. It's not like growing zucchini where your neighbors suddenly avert their eyes.
That's true. Nobody says no to a wheel of cheese. Yeah, it's not zucchini, that's for sure. So yeah, to answer your question, we eat it and then I make it for my friends and family.
So you've written the book, you've done all this cheese, you have all this experience, you have a community. By the way, the community, is it a blog or is it Facebook based?
I belong to a couple of groups on Facebook, but the one in particular that I'm most active in is Learn to Make Cheese. And it's the largest group on Facebook, and it's a super quality forum because the admins there work very, very hard to get the right answers, and I participate in that as well. And I'm also there and available, so if someone has a question in the book, often they'll ask me right through that forum, or they'll ask me in the comments in my YouTube channel.
And your channel is?
Cheese 52, pretty easy.
Okay. So you've done all this, what's next?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about what's next because the book took a lot of time. It took almost 3 years to come to fruition, and I had made several videos. So what is next? Is it more videos? Is it another book? Is it a course? I do know, I think that there needs to be more attention placed on food safety in cheesemaking, and I think sometimes that it can be brushed away aside as something not important, and I think it's very important, and maybe even more so important than in regular cooking, because the reason for that is because when cheese is being made, it's being held at temperatures that are inside the FDA's food safety danger zone, from the time the milk moves into the pot to the time you eat it. So particular attention must be made to make sure that the bacteria that you want is growing and any unwanted bacteria stays away. So I could see a resource that focuses on the importance of food safety in cheese making. And I think that could be coming sooner than we think.
Well, thank you, Cheese Lisa.
Thank you. My nieces and nephews call me that. And so you can call me Cheese Lisa anytime. Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
Thank you. And where can they find your book?
You can find this book on my website.
And that is cheese52.com.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Good chat with Lisa. I enjoyed that interview. Like I said, I've talked to her so many times. I think I knew most of the answers to those, but it was nice to hear it from somebody else, and very good. And we wish her all the best of luck on her book, Confidence Cheesemaking, available on her website, cheese52.com. And we'll just see where this all goes. So
I hope it's successful. I hope it's really successful because it's really well laid out.
yeah.
I could read it. I could follow it.
Well, I've made a lot of cheese that are actually in that book, but I was making it based on her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of perfecting a lot of those recipes before publishing them. So anyway, all the best with that. And coming up in the next episode, we are leaving Boise and we are heading back to Canada. It was a very short trip in the U.S. this time, but time to get going back to a little closer to home. So that's coming up in the next episode.